academic libraries, specialized libraries. But the law establishing the Library Authority focuses on public libraries. Of course, we do provide technical support to other ministries and agencies with respect to their specialized libraries. We also provide support to school libraries. And of course, now with the introduction of technology, we leverage on technology to be able to also make sure that we reach a lot more Ghanaians with knowledge resources. But over the last 70 plus years, the models have always been to, enter a community, establish a brick and mortar environment, equip it with the relevant knowledge resources so that people within that enclave can be able to have access to the resources in there. And that is what, we do at the Library Authority.
I see. And that's quite, a vast area to look at. And that brings me to my next question, out of curiosity. What was the state of the library system when you took office? This was what, 2017?
2017, 2018 January, that's when I assumed office. And of course, so the Library Authority, as I did mention, of course, we have to make sure that we provide a lot more footprint across the country so that the Ghanaian citizens can have access to the facilities and the resources in there. In 2017, when we took over and handed over notes and everything was done, we had 61 public libraries in Ghana.
61.
61, and out of the 61. Out of the 60, of all the 61 libraries, the books on the shelves of these 61 libraries was just around 349,000. But just suppose that with what was the situation in 1981, because I just want you to have a bit of as comparative assessment to really appreciate that.
So did you just mention 1981?
1981. I mentioned 1981. We had 36 libraries in Ghana.
Okay.
On the shelves of the 36 libraries, we had over 1,040,000 books. Fast forward to 2017, we had increased the network of public libraries to 61, but the books had reduced to less than 400,000. So,
oh wow! So the libraries had increased, but the books, what you would go to a library for?
Yes, had diminished. So there was very low patronage with respect to people's use of the resources at the various libraries. There was the non-existence of internet infrastructure. There was no computers in most of our libraries that were set up. What we have done over the last few years is to be able to, of course, increase the footprint, because you cannot have over 260 district and municipalities and only be operating 61 public libraries. So the government, within the framework of the 2018-2030 strategic plan, which had proposed that we should have about 540 libraries by 2030, we decided to go an aggressive strategy to be able to devise different strategies to be able to expand the footprint. Today, we have added 72 new libraries to the network. So we're managing 133 libraries under the Ghana Library Authority. Books on the shelves, which had declined to less than 400,000. Today, we are hitting almost 2 million books on the shelf of public library.
Are these evenly distributed? I mean, it may not be exactly that 10,000 books per library, but is there some evenness in the distribution so that it's not lopsided? One has 50,000, another one has 2,000. What's the status
of course,
of that?
Depending on the size of a library will determine the number of books in there. So a typical library will usually have maybe about 5,000 to 10,000 books. But then when we have a bit of a mega library, like the one we have at Kagukudi, which has about 25,000 books. When you come to Accra Central, we have about... Which
one is it? Is that the one from Gold House?
Gold House,
going
yes.
Towards the Zenith Bank?
Exactly. So the size really determines the number of resources that are made available. And also if we look at the dynamics with respect to the use of the resources, because there are some libraries that you have a lot more kids patronizing, which means that you provide a lot more children-friendly materials, whilst some libraries had a lot more adult patronage. So you rather give them a lot more adult content to meet their needs. And so when it comes to the footprint, this is what we have done. When it comes to the resources with respect to the book resources that, of course, everybody expect to enter a library and find, we've managed to increase it from less than 400,000 to now almost 2 million. The other component is, of course, technology. And with technology, what we have been able to do is that, yes, of course, we understand that it's quite difficult for us to reach every household, but through the use of technology, we can be able to give Ghanaians access to resources. And so we launched the Ghana Library app, which is available on both Play Store and App Store. And with the Ghana Library app, once you are within the geographical location of Ghana, the confines of Ghana, you can download the app and have access to some of the resources that we've put in there. And so if you're a parent, I mean, you are watching us, you can actually even try it right now. Not only do we have ebooks, but we also have audiobooks, and we have also video tutorials. So video tutorial, Ghana Education Service, when they launched the Ghana Learning TV, just like you have the Joy Learning channel, they did record some tutorial videos. We've uploaded all of these videos on the platform. So if your kids need extra tuition, maybe on social studies or mathematics, you can actually go on the app, look at the class level of your child, the topic or the lesson number, and be able to offer them opportunity to access the resource. So this has also been done. So beside this opportunity to use the app to access resources, of course, there's also the library space itself. When people come in, are they able to have access to connection, internet? Are they able to have access to digital devices?
What's the status of that?
So with that, we've procured over 1,000 computers that we've shared across most of our libraries across the country. And under the Ghana government digital strategy, we've also expanded internet connectivity to almost half of the libraries that we have across the country. And so with these computers within the library space, another significant role we are able to play is to be able to allow schools within the communities that these libraries are located to be able to use our resources to teach the children ICT. Most of our schools, of course, they're supposed to write exams in ICT, but they do not have computers at their disposal. So with this sort of community hubs, you are able to leverage on the library's resources with respect to computers, and teachers bring in the kids and they're able to use the computers at our disposal to, of course, teach the kids. Beside that, you also have adult that comes in for research purposes using the computers and the internet resources. Of course,
how many of such do you get? Let's say in a year, in a month, how many of those do you get? Do you have any
with respect to?
I mean, those who may be coming for research purposes, for example.
Okay, so
I'm sure you are keeping tabs. You want to know who is coming for what, because it will also let you know what we should be focusing on, where we should be honing skills, what people need, and then trying to meet those needs, right?
Yes. So across the country, we've seen a significant increase in patronage. So we used to record around 350,000 visits annually in 2017, 2016. Today, we are almost at 1.8 million visits annually, which means that a lot more people are visiting the library and using the resources. Then you come to the number of kids. So you have about 80% of patronage being children, and you have 20% being adult population patronizing our libraries. And so you find a significant number of people that are using our libraries being kids between, of course, the ages of 18 and below. And they form about 80%. And so if you have about 20%, that's sort of across the country, the average number of adults. And these are the people that are usually using some of our resources, of course, with respect to the computers for their research and self-learning.
Right.
And within the spaces that we've set up the ICT corners or the tech corners, we also leverage on that to be able to also allow Ghanaians to participate in massive open online course programs. And so, we recall that when we had the last interview, I told you about the partnership we had with Commonwealth of Learning that allowed Ghanaians to enroll on Udemy and Coursera to undertake some of these micro-certificate programs. At our various libraries, we offer the opportunity for the youth and adults alike to be able to use our computers to access some of these resources.
So you've said a lot about initiatives, right? Key initiatives from the Ghana Library app, which allows people to come on board. By the way, is it free?
Yes, it's free. So,
it's free. So all the person has to do is download it.
It's download. And the good thing is that, the major telcos, Telecel and MTN, have all zero-rated it, which means that it doesn't actually take charges from your data that you have.
Okay, and it is on iOS, it is on the Android as well.
Yes.
Okay, that's the App Store and Android. Right, but I'm curious, after all these initiatives, after all these policies, what has been the impact? People often say that in Ghana, not too many, the masses may not be so concerned about picking a book or going online and reading a book from cover to cover, absorbing that. What has been the impact of these initiatives? on different fronts, but also specifically in respect of people. Are you seeing more numbers?
Yes, like I did mention, when I took over, for example, library patronage was around 350,000 or so. But today...
Per year?
Yes, per year. But today we are recording like almost 2 million, 1.8 million to 2 million averagely. And this is the case because of the investment that the government has made into public library networks across the country. Because you know what? If I want access to some resources and I not have the money to be able to buy the book, the option for me is to go into the library space to be able to make use of the materials that are available. When we introduced the Coursera and the Udemy platforms, for example, we had over 50,000 people signing up for those programs. Some people today...
But these are programs that ordinarily... I mean, I've taken courses from Coursera, EDX, among others.
Yes.
These are things that people can do without necessarily coming to you.
Yes, but for you to get yourself, you needed to pay for it to be able to...
Okay, so you subsidize...
You don't pay because Commonwealth of Learning have taken off the cost.
Okay, so those who go through your route, in terms of the certification, they don't have to pay the little sums they would have paid.
It's a lot of money if you're paying $40 for a course.
Well, I know, there were some I took you were looking at $14.
Yes. So,
but it's a lot of money thanks to thanks to the exchange rate. It's a lot of money. I get your point.
So we've managed to allow people, and the point I want to make is that people that benefited from the program, some of them have either gotten promotions at their workplaces, they've gained new skills. Some people are actually working remotely.
Some of them have gained promotion.
Yes, some people are also working remotely for companies across the ocean because they have certain skills. Because some people are doing remote user experience design. Some people are doing, some project management for other companies. Some people are operating really some other areas that even when they were taking the course, they had no idea, about what they were doing. And so that's really an impact, especially for the adult population when it comes to scaling, that they managed to leverage on this platform to acquire new skills. Of course, parents' ability to buy, a lot more storybooks for their kids. Once they have access to our libraries, they are now able to come and borrow. I mean, when you pass by the airport library, maybe use that route, you can check it out. Parents come over the weekend, they borrow a bunch of books, take home for 2-3 weeks, get their children to exhaust them, and then they bring them back. And that's really a cost burden that has been reduced because if there was not existing, you'd probably be going to the bookshops,
buy a
lot more books. Right. And so that's really an impact that has been made, for those.
Let's talk about. I mean, in some jurisdictions, I've seen book barrows, wheelbarrows with books, and others mobile, portable libraries. You have a mobile library service. Tell us about that.
Yes. So across the country, we have 11 vans. That are attached.
They are vans?
Yes, they are vans. So they're attached to some of our libraries within the regions, and they're able to commute into communities with our libraries. But it's really demand driven. And so if you are a community and you're interested in benefiting from the service of the mobile library service, the van is able to come in there. And the good thing is that we do not only go with books, but we also go with tablets and computers, so laptops, and we allow schools within the communities that we visit on this mobile library outreach to be able to also use the laptops to teach the ICT courses, because some schools of course don't have access to computers, and so if we're going with books, we want them to have the same experience that you would have otherwise had from our static library environment. And that's also a critical service that that's what the UN Public Service awarded us in 2021 on the.
And I'm sure this will also help those communities that may not necessarily, because it's always about trying to reach those who perhaps are most deprived.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
So that they can also be a part of the rest of the system and not be deprived of certain benefits.
Exactly. And for us, even the goal is that every single public library should even have a mobile library attached to it, because I
think that will even excite people.
Oh yes.
When even if there's a library and people are not coming, when they see the van going around and maybe someone picks a book and someone tells a story, oh, I love that book.
Yes.
Then by word of mouth, interest is developed. But on the back of that, I'd like to find out, we have a National Development Planning Commission, and sometimes it appears even what they plan is not affected by the political parties. But I'm curious, do we ever factor in public libraries and stuff like that into our development planning?
Unfortunately, we have not, as a country, been very good at it. You know, if you look at it, even the education strategic plan that had been developed over the years, until, you know, when Dr. Matthew Poku Prempeh was developing the 2018-2030 strategic plan, Ghana has never made any concrete attempt to even incorporate the delivery of library resources into our education strategy. But today, we have, you know, at least a target within the education strategic plan to be able to achieve for Ghana when it comes to, you know, the footprint of public libraries in the country. In Ghana, never had we had the opportunity to even political parties make a statement on the development of public libraries. But we are glad for the commitment of His Excellency the President, Nana Addo Akufo-Addo, and the Vice President, Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia, for being committed to, you know, making sure that Ghanaians have access to public library in the country. And today, His Excellency the Vice President uses our achievement within the public library space to be able to make a case to Ghanaian people how well this government has performed. Never has it been the case for any other political party in Ghana to even be able to do that, because it has never been part of their plan.
But this should not even be political, right?
Yes,
it's a national.
It should
be a national drive rather than a political.
Of course, but you know, national policies and programs are driven by politicians that we vote into power. And so if politicians haven't demonstrated enough commitment to be able to expand access to these knowledge hubs, then it's a problem. But we are glad that, you know, today we've seen that commitment coming. We've seen the New Patriotic Party making a commitment to be able to support and improve public library access in the country, supporting the Ghana Library Authority to expand from 61 to 133 digital library infrastructure, computers being bought and distributed across public libraries in Ghana, investing a lot in acquisition of books. Books are the most expensive resource. If I tell you that the books on this shelf might cost 1 million, you'll be amazed how expensive these books resources are, especially textbooks. Very expensive. But we are glad that we've gotten that commitment to be able to do that for the people of Ghana.
Okay. Before we go, I'd just like to, and as you give your final words, it's always said that legacy, the quality of a leader is not just what the leader does, but the fact that the leader puts systems in place so that even if he's not there, the system works. Take out the politics and the fact that you could be retained whether your party wins or not, or you could be, set aside if another party comes to power. What would be your legacy? What have you left so that no matter what, this will be a trajectory that will continue? Those are my final bits.
Thank you very much.
Briefly on that.
Yes, what we have done at Ghana Library Authority is actually, what I'm very proud about is the system we've put in place. The key fundamental thing you need to do within the public library service is the development of your scheme of service that allowed you to be able to bring in the right personnel with the right skills and be able to offer them the continuous professional development so that they can be able to contribute optimally to the delivery of the service for which you are mandated to do by law. Now, at Ghana Library Authority, we have managed to develop a new scheme of service 2021. And within that scheme of service, we've managed to also bring in new professional groupings. So when I went to Ghana Library Authority, there was no existence of a human resource department. There was no estate department. When an agency law makes it mandatory for it to establish public libraries.
Right.
Today we have an estate department that is leading the footprint expansion.
Okay.
We've managed to also, within the framework, also bring in the needed skills, invest a lot in continuous professional development. So for me, I think my legacy will be the investment that I've been able to.
So whoever takes over, the blueprint is there.
The blueprint has been laid down perfectly. The right personnel are in place to be able to make sure that
to execute the agenda.
To execute that.
We have to go, but I just saw this comment. I feel I wouldn't do service to this person if I don't read it. He says, it's Emmanuel Prekel. He says, I want to learn Python programming on Udemy, but I can't afford it. I'm hearing it's free at the Ghana Library. How can I benefit?
So
is that, yes. Are all of these available?
Yes, it's available. So he should just go on our website and send us an email, and they will respond and hook him up.
All right, so Emmanuel Preco, go to the Ghana Library Authority's website.
Library.gov.gh.
Right, send an email and they'll take it from there. Library.gov.gh. Hey, Fotiel, thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining the
conversation.
conversation.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure.